Hey friends, it's Marie again. Welcome back to my channel. So I am doing another card featuring the Steampunk stamp set from Brutus Monroe. This time I'm using this flower image. So I've made a few backgrounds already that are kind of more art journal style, more steampunk style. This one's going to be really floral and kind of feminine, which is really pretty much what my style is. So I'm going to be making a pattern background with just this stamp. I'm using just this stamp from the set. I'm loading my paper and my stamp in my Misti so I can stamp it out several times and get a great impression. I'm also using my Brutus Monroe Raven Black Detail ink. I love this ink for alcohol markers, which is what I'm doing because once it's dry, it will not smear and it will not smudge when you're coloring. So a lot of times you don't have to worry about hitting it with your heat tool, but since I'm stamping each image about 3 times, I've got a lot of ink building up on there. I did hit it with my heat tool just to make sure it's dry so I got no smearing. So if you want to make sure you don't have any smearing when you're coloring, go ahead and hit it with your heat tool. It takes a few seconds and it'll just ensure that you have a great background and don't smear all of your stamps that you worked so hard with. So I'm building a pattern on my background, and I'm just doing this by taking my stamp and arranging it where I want it to go. I'm kind of going diagonally here on my card front and just making a nice pattern with that. But as I was building this, I was kind of thinking it's a little bit like a puzzle, building your background stamp pattern with stamps. You just kind of got to turn that stamp and see where it fits, where it's gonna kind of, you know, lock into so you can get a nice background. So I'm taking my stamp, I'm moving my paper all over my Misti to get my stamp in there, and I'm trying to get all these images really close together because I'm going to color all of my images and I'm going to color the space around them. I'm making 2 cards today just to show the positive versus the negative stamping. So I want my images to be really close so I can do a lot of coloring and just show you how you can do some really great different techniques with one stamp. So this is just one stamp. I'm making a pattern on the background, coloring it a few different ways, and I'm going to get a few different looks for my card. So I'm just stamping it out, like I said, just trying to figure out where to put this, fill in those gaps, turning my stamp to see which end will kind of fit in there, and stamping it out. So it's a lot of stamping in the beginning, I won't lie. I do have my Misti, what they call the Mousepad. I don't have any of my grid paper in my Misti. I like this Mousepad because you can wipe it clean. So that's what I did with all of those ink smudges. I'd like to clean it up after I'm done stamping. Don't let that ink dry, and it's clean, ready to go for the next time. So I've stamped out 2 patterns here so I can show you my positive and negative coloring. I'm using my Stylefile markers here to color all of my images, and on this panel I am doing my positive coloring. That means I'm coloring the actual images and I'm going to leave the space around them white. So when I do my coloring with alcohol markers, my basic formula I use my lightest color, my mid-tone color, my dark color for shading, and then I go back to my lightest color and blend those all out. And that's basically how I do all of my coloring. So I put a yellow down for my lightest color because I wanted sort of a yellowish undertone to these flowers. I'm using a mid-tone green and kind of covering most of the area that I colored. I'm leaving a little bit of yellow highlight on the edges. And then once I've got my mid-tone green on, I'm going to come in with my darkest, and I'm just going to put my darkest green where there would be more shadowing. So down at the bottom of the leaves, next to the flowers, kind of where there would be a little bit of overlap on this plant, and you'll see what I mean here. And then I'll go back, and I'm actually not going to use my yellow to go back and blend it all out. I normally would, since that's my lightest color, but since I do want these leaves to be really green, I went back with my mid-tone green to blend them all out. So this is my darkest. You can see I'm using a little bit of dark just kind of on the edges, kind of on the bottoms of these leaves, and kind of where they would be folding to give a little bit more shadowing. And you could definitely use different colors. You could use more of a brownish green or even add in some grays to shade. I'm just trying to keep it real simple here because I've never taken a coloring class or anything before. I've kind of just gone with what I think looks good. So I'm a little bit self-taught. So I like to keep it simple. So I'm going to color my roses red, obviously, because, you know, you got to paint the roses red. So I'm taking a lighter red color. You could even use a pink if you want it to be even lighter. And then I'm going to go in with a mid-tone red, and I'm actually adding my shadows with a reddish brown. I've found that brown you can really do some great shading with, especially with reds. I'm using my reddish brown as a brick brown. I've added just a little bit to those folds of the petals where there would be some shadowing, and I am coloring it, blending it out with my lighter red again. And that's how I colored all of the red flowers on this background. So I've kind of skipped a lot of my coloring. I just wanted to show you how I do my basic coloring. And here is my background all colored out. So this is the positive coloring. I colored the image itself. I'm going to take my second background now, and I'm going to color the negative space, which is the space around the flowers. And for this, I'm just using my black marker. So my black marker is a really dark black. I am not doing any shading. I'm just filling in that space around the flowers. Now, one of my panels, and this is the one that I kind of messed up on with my stamping, one of my stamps kind of shifted, and I got sort of a double stamp, and I don't know if you can kind of see it in the top left corner right now. So I picked this one to do this negative stamping because my black is so dark. If I go over some of those fine lines with the stamps, where there's some fine lines on the stamps, it kind of hides those. So I wanted to take my black marker, go around that image that kind of double stamped or shifted on me, and clean it up a little bit. So this is a great technique if you've stamped a whole background, you've kind of messed it up, and you don't want to go ahead and do it again. Just take a black marker, do the negative coloring, and you can kind of clean up that image and nobody's going to notice. This does take a little bit of time to go slowly on the background, fill in all of those negative areas, but it gives you a really great look and a really different look. Now, I didn't even color the flowers on this background. I just left them white. I really just wanted to show the negative versus positive coloring, but you could definitely color the flowers themselves. Do a really awesome color palette, maybe make them sort of whitish flowers with green leaves or something. I think that would be gorgeous. But here are my two card panels, the negative and the positive. You get two very different looks, but it's pretty much the same card. We did the same thing on each card. So I'm going to add sentiments now, and I'm using these Altenew Bold Alpha dies. These are capital letters. They fit perfectly on an A2 size card, and I found that, you know, you can get 3 or 4 letters across the front there, so I'm spelling out hugs. You could do love. I did thanks on the other one by doing THNX. So you can get really creative with these different sentiments, you know, slap on any 4-letter word you want. And I'm using some gold mirror cardstock from Tonic. This is really shiny, so it's a really great look. And I like the gold with the flowers, obviously, because I love my sparkle. And I'm just adding a little supporting sentiment that I found in my stamp stash. I embossed it in gilded embossing powder, and I'm just gluing this on here, just trying to make sure the letters are straight. And it's a really simple sentiment on a background. I wanted the background to stand out, so I didn't want to cover it up too much, but I like that bold sentiment against all of those red flowers. So that's my one card, and here's my second one. I'm going to do this the long way. Again, shout out to Linda Israel for giving me her ruler unintentionally. This is her ruler. She left it at my house when we were crafting several years ago, and I never gave it back. So I'm going to try to link to her below because you guys need to go check her out. She's amazing. She's got a great channel and a lot of junk journal, mixed media type stuff. If you love that, go check her out. So I'm just adding my sentiment here. I've got hugs and prayers, and that's going to finish this card. And that's going to finish the video. So thanks so much for stopping by. I hope this gives you some great ideas to get creative with your coloring. Take one stamp, make a pattern background, and you can make different cards, different looks by just changing it up a little bit. So thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, tap the bell to get notifications, share, comment, do all the things. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.